Will meditation help me? Will it? You can kind of think of meditation like a medicine. But like all medicines, there are side effects. You gotta read the label. Side effects may include reduced stress, lowered anxiety, increased memory, focus, peace, compassion, happiness, love, dizziness, fatigue, pain, headaches, hypersensitivity, fear, anger, rage, increased anxiety, increased stress, emotional detachment, dissociation, derealization, loss of a sense of agency, loss of a sense of self, grief, depression, psychosis, and suicide. So all of these side effects that you just saw, these are actually things that can happen when you're meditating. And if you really want a comprehensive list, there is a resource called cheetahhouse.com. Dr. Willoughby Britton and her team over at Brown University have done extensive research on some of the symptoms that can come up during meditating, because meditation really can be used like a medicine. It's training for your mind. So it can become kind of like a self-therapy, and when you use it in that way, there are a lot of things that can be brought up. So, will meditation help you? And I think the answer is that it really depends, because take the word help there. There's a lot of things, obviously, that these side effects that you've seen that can come up during meditation that just aren't very helpful. So let's look at the intention aspect of it. Why are you meditating? What are you doing it for? Maybe you're meditating to increase your focus, increase your sense of calm and sense of peace, and increase your productivity. And you do this for a while, and you find increased calm, you find increased productivity, but then you start being dissatisfied with your work, and you find yourself looking for another job, and you quit your job, and then you get another job which feels more aligned, but then that job doesn't pay as much. So is that helpful or not helpful? Who knows? And so this is the story of meditation. It's a long-term process. It's a lifelong process, really. And during the long-term story arc, there are a lot of things that can be surfaced up from your subconscious. When you're looking in there, inside the heart mind, there are things that come up, and you can get angry and judgmental, and there are old memories that come up and past traumas that come up. And the best video that I've seen, and I'll link it up above, is this video by Vince, my friend Vince Horn over at Buddhist Geeks, who describes the meditation process as a process of grief. And I think this is a really apt analogy, because that is kind of exactly what we go through when we meditate. We bring up these things that are really deep inside us, and it's not always so rosy. So helpful or not helpful, that's up to you. Okay, I'm gonna go outside. So the reason why I'm even making this video is because I actually think meditation will be helpful for a lot of people. And I want to give you the story of why I started to meditate, how that's helped me. So a few years ago, I was going through a breakup with my ex-wife. And while we were going through the process of divorce, I found out that I was really passive aggressive. And I thought I was screwed because at that time, I didn't realize that people could change. I thought that I was going to be like that for the rest of my life. So through the course of going to therapy, and I was in a few support groups, I found this video on YouTube that basically said that I could change my brain chemistry if I started meditating. And so I thought, I have nothing to lose, so I tried it. And I did, and it did help me become less passive aggressive. And so I continued to meditate because I also found out that I had a lot of anxiety, that I was holding all this anxiety in my body. And so I continued to meditate because of anxiety. And then at some point I was meditating to get more focused and more productive. I was trying to hack my brain. And so this is a little bit of the sort of the journey and the process of what I went through when I was going through the beginning of my meditation journey. And, fast forward about 6 years later, and I can definitely say that looking back, there have been quite a few things that have changed.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology. Better, stronger, faster.
I'm now happier. I am more focused. I am less passive aggressive. I am more compassionate, forgiving. I'm able to respond more skillfully in situations, and I have more confidence. But I think that the biggest thing that meditation has given me, I attribute all these things to meditation. So the biggest thing that I attribute to meditation is that now I have this trust in life itself. I trust that if I just throw myself into the wind, throw myself backwards, that life is gonna catch me. And that is sort of an invaluable feeling to me to have. Now I'd like to share with you a few things that I think might be helpful on your journey of meditation. Now, since we know that meditation can be scary and there can be these things that come up like past traumas and past memories, it's helpful to not just dive straight off into the deep end and to instead wade into the waters and dip your toes, if you will, slowly. And one of the ways to do that is something called titration. And so we can pick a neutral spot in our bodies. Now, the emotional centers in our bodies somatically are usually emotions are held in your throat and in your chest and your heart and in your stomach for most people. And so you'll want to pick a spot like your hands or your feet. And maybe your hands or your feet are not neutral for you, so you'll want to check that for yourself. But pick a spot that feels safe. And then when you're doing your meditation, when you are, let's say you're focusing on your breath. When you're focusing on your breath and that starts to feel a little bit scary, then you can back off a little bit and then place your focus in your hands or your feet. So that's one thing. And another thing is that different types of meditation will be helpful at different periods in your life, will be helpful at different times of the day, will be helpful depending on what you're going through in the moment, what you're going through in terms of your relationships, in terms of your work. Or sometimes you might just feel like you need to switch it up. You might need to change your pace. Maybe you're meditating. You're always meditating in the morning, and maybe you want to switch it up and start doing some meditation at night, or some sleep meditation, some dream yoga. Or maybe you've been sitting for a long time, and what might be helpful for you is to do walking meditation or to do some yoga. And so, we all go through different periods in our lives where different practices are going to be helpful. And I will definitely say that there are a few booby traps that you can fall into during the course of meditation that aren't related to these symptoms that we listed in the beginning. And these things are, one of the biggest ones is something called spiritual bypass. And a spiritual bypass is when you use meditation to run away from and to cover over what's going on in your life, because that other thing feels scary, and so you retreat to meditating. Or you can use it to cover over your emotions, and to instead of processing that, just say, oh, I'm good, I don't need to feel this, I can focus on something else, and that would be a spiritual bypass. And there are other things like spiritual materialism, or what's this other one, another word, escapism. And for those things, I think the last thing that I want to say is that it's really helpful to be part of a sangha. The sangha is another word for a community. Be part of a community that meditates, and or both, to have a teacher. Because a teacher has seen a lot of the things that can happen during meditation, a lot of things that can come up, and they'll be able to better guide you through maybe the type of meditation that you could be doing that would be helpful in your situation. And I also want to say that meditation is a training of the mind, and it's a self-training of the mind. And so you can use it as, it can be used as a self-therapy, and that can be dangerous. And so if you're doing meditation because of self-therapy, especially because of this, you might want to pair your meditation practice with some actual psychotherapy, because that is going to help give yourself some context and give yourself some balance. And I think that's it. Have a great journey, and I think you're going to be just fine.